Hello and welcome to Saints Live. I'm Steve Forbes.
And I'm Kenzie Benali.
Well, the end of the season is on the horizon and we're here at St Mary's for the penultimate home match of the campaign as Southampton host Crystal Palace. Just one place and 2 points separate these sides in the Premier League table. Now, joining us to discuss all things pre-match, we have former Saints captain Dean Hammond and my favourite lead soccer writer for NBC, Joe Prince-Wright.
Oh, a joy to have you both with us. Welcome, gents. We are going to get stuck right into the early team news because that is coming our way in under 15 minutes' time, the official starting 11. So we do know that Tino Livramento is the only absentee. The club confirmed he did suffer an ACL injury against Brighton and is likely to be sidelined until the end of 2022. So, of course, we are wishing him all the very best in his recovery. Dean, let's talk on that starting 11 for today. Then obviously saw plenty of changes last week to take on Brighton. Are you expecting more changes again today, or do you think Ralph will stick with the same side?
I've got a feeling he might stick with the same side, Kenzie, if I'm honest, just because of the way the team finished and how strong they finished. They were very, very good in that second half, really played with a high intensity, a real purpose to try and get themselves back in the game, almost won the game as well. And I just think that the manager will look at that and think, okay, let's give them another opportunity. You could look at it, is there some options to change it? Potentially, you know, Nathan Redmond came in and wasn't involved that much, so Stuart Armstrong potentially could come back into the team. Same with Shane Long, obviously older player now, can he continue to play? Came in, did very well actually, I thought was very impressed with his performance, but could Brozier come back into the team? Could Adam Armstrong come back into the team? So there's definitely options, but I think the core of the team that played against Brighton will play again. Like I say, the second half was very, very impressive. And I've looked back on the game, if I'm honest. In the first half, a lot happened in the first half that probably went against Southampton. Any team can concede an early goal, like they did. There's an own goal in the first half as well. There's obviously the injury to Livramento. There's Southampton had opportunities. You know, Livramento hit the post as well. And then James Ward-Prowse scores the free kick. So I think the team performed overall pretty well. Created, I think, something like I saw some stat that was like 18 shots on goal, which is pretty impressive away from home. So if I was a manager, I quite like the balance of the team. More pace in the team, and I was impressed by moments that Nathan Tella had in the game. So I would continue the same if I was the manager.
And how about yourself, Joe? How do you think Ralph may adjust things from the team that faced Brighton?
Steve, I think, like Dean mentioned it, I think I'll go with the 4-2-2-2 again. Maybe the only changes would be Brozier coming in up top for Shane Long. I could see that happening. I think he's quite mobile, obviously, Brozier, and caused Palace a lot of problems in the return game at Selhurst Park earlier this season. But I really did like Tella and Redmond in behind in those two wide number 10 positions, like Dean mentioned. I think they added an extra dynamic with the pace and just something very different to Stuart Armstrong and Moyal Yunusi in recent months, who have been the go-to guys in that position. So I think the back four, two centre mids kind of pick themselves, but the area of debate there is up top, and I'd like to see Brozier come in. But I'd be fine with Tella and Redmond starting once again in those number 10 positions. And yeah, I was looking for Saints to obviously continue the good home form over the season. I mean, 4 defeats in 17 home games so far in the Premier League. That's a pretty good record, all said and done. So looking for them to really kick on and finish the last two strong this season.
Well, the fans have been speculating in the comments as to who will be starting against Crystal Palace today, and sending in their well wishes as well for the Saints. We have a tweet here from Casual Pirate who says, got to be Adam Armstrong up front today with Adams. Time to give the pair a chance playing together before next season kicks off. Yossi on Twitter says, supporting from Canada, come on you Reds. And we've got a comment here from Dan Hayward as well. He's watching all the way from Adelaide in Australia. He says, go on you Saints. Dan, thank you very much for your company. Do keep those comments coming into us. But for now, it's time to rewind the clock and look back at last weekend's 2-2 draw against Brighton.
Good afternoon, everybody, from the Amex Stadium as the players beneath me walk out. Cucurella will cross low from the left, right into the heart of the 6-yard area. Forster hasn't caught it, and the follow-up goes in. And it may well be that Danny Welbeck has scored that goal for Brighton. Now Livramento approaching the penalty area. He's got room, he's got time, and he drills it against the post. It comes back down, and Shea Adams can't put the rebound in. Ward-Prowse again, who's all over the place, and he's done well. Turns away from the tackle, and there's a Saints player down injured badly. What on earth happened there, Dave? That looks innocuous.
Looked as if it was a twist.
And now their stretcher men lift him up. Romeo can't get him, then the low ball in, and the shot, and surely, no! Saints survive. Here's Leandro Trossard. He looks for Welbeck again, and it's an own goal! And Saints, it's another disaster in their own penalty area. Here comes Ward-Prowse with the free kick, and he has done it! Oh boy, he very rarely disappoints. Has support inside him from Romeo, looking to get the shot away to his captain! Ward-Prowse drills it low past Sanchez again. Trossard's got away with it, and he carries on playing. And are they offside? The flag hasn't gone up. The linesman falls over. Pascal Gross shoots, and he fires it into the lead. And then the flag goes up on the far side. It's offside. 2-2. And Robert Jones says that's it.
Highlights there from last week's match against Brighton. Now, Dean, you could see how much pain Tino was in when he went down. It looked like a rather innocuous challenge, but, you know, sometimes they can be the worst.
Yeah, they can, Steve, and really unfortunate for Tino, because he's had a fantastic debut season at Southampton, 19 years of age. It's really unfortunate, but injuries are part and parcel of sport and part and parcel of football. So look, he's in very, very good hands in terms of and have the support from the football club, and have the support from his teammates, and I'm sure he'll have the support from the fans in his recovery and being able to have time to get himself back to full fitness. But it was just that change of direction. It really, really was. And he's a quick player, and unfortunately, when you are quick and you can move quickly, he just puts all his weight through one knee. And unfortunately, you can see there just from the replay that he knows straight away as it happened, before he's even kind of fallen to the ground, his reaction is that he holds his hand up, that he knows there's a problem. So, like I say, it's part and parcel, but he's been fantastic this year. You know, like I say, his debut season, probably didn't expect when he came into Southampton to maybe start the season in front of Cole Walker-Peters, but he has, and he's been inspiring to watch. We've all loved him, watching flying down that wing, being really creative, running with the ball. When he's in full flow, he's an exciting footballer, and I'm sure with the medical treatment they have now and the research they do, he'll come back an even stronger player. And it's really important, I think, for his teammates to be around him, and because he's going to be low, he's going to be disappointed. So the support he gets from people around him at the football club will be really, really important. And just to probably get across to him that he's done fantastic, you know, and he, like I say, he's so young, he can recover from this, and he's going to have a brilliant football career. And just understanding this is part of the game, and it happens. But yeah, I've been really impressed with him this season. Really, really impressed, and love watching him play. But the club is very fortunate. They've got Cole Walker-Peters who can come and play at right back. Perra can come at a left back, and I'm sure he'll support from the sidelines. But yeah, I'm sure all our love goes out to him. And but like I say, he's in good hands at Southampton, so he's very fortunate in that aspect.
Yeah, he is indeed. Really tough to see him being stretchered off there. But Dean, your summary of him was pretty spot on, really. You know, a special player, a talented young man. I mean, Joe, it feels like we've sung his praises so much since the start of the season, and rightly so. Just how big a miss is he going to be for the side?
Yeah, it'll be a huge impact. I mean, such an incredible first season. I mean, I can't believe he's still a teenager, to be honest. And what I love about these clips is that you see him doing a lot of the defensive work. He does the basics right, and he's such a well-balanced player, because a lot of young players, a lot of them can attack well out wide, be really good on the ball, but Tino can defend really well as well, one-on-one. He's taller than most people think. He attacks the ball well from set pieces. As we're seeing here, I remember being at this game with Dean and Steve and seeing him just marauding down the right, just game after game. And I think the great thing about Tino is that he already looks so good, but you can tell the potential is even higher. There's still a few raw things about his game that he does really well from an athlete standpoint. He's really good engine up and down, but I think we're only just scratching the surface when we come to his potential as a player in 10 years time, expecting to be one of the best. So yeah, big miss for Saints. And for England as well. I think, he was in England 21 international. I think he was knocking on the door and would have been up until, November, December ahead of the World Cup squad. Even though England have got a lot of quality right backs, Tino was right there. So, yeah, it's tough. He was obviously had a bit of a dip in form in maybe mid part of the season due to another smaller injury, but class is permanent. He'll be back. He'll come back even stronger and better. And he's a real steady character, it seems. So it's a blow. But Dean mentioned it brilliantly there. It's just part and parcel of football, unfortunately. But yeah, we send out all our best wishes to Tino because as a Saints fan, he is one of the best players I think I've ever seen at that age playing for Saints.
Yeah, we do hope to see him back sooner rather than later. Well, James Ward-Prowse got us back into the game with yet another fantastic free kick, Dean. I'm sure he'll take most of the credit, but Oriol Romeu had a certain part to play in the wall, didn't he?
He certainly did. And it looks like it's preempted. It looks like it's been worked on the training ground, and I think that just shows the intelligence of obviously James Ward-Prowse and Oriol Romeu and obviously the coaching staff, because Prowse has scored so many free kicks now that teams probably will see that he favours probably to go to one side, and they're thinking, how can we bring something different into this? Because if you look at Sanchez, his foot movement, he's leaning to his left-hand side, thinking that he's going to go over the wall. If you look at Brighton's wall, they've got Lewis Dunk in there, Webster, Welbeck, Veltman. So they're really, really good sides. So they're trying to protect that side of the goal. And Oriol Romeu just standing there facing the goalkeeper. And he's very, very clever. He stands in front of Mwepu. And Mwepu actually takes a step to his left-hand side to get into the wall. And it just goes over Oriol Romeu's head. So it's very, very clever. It's poor from Brighton because Mwepu, he needs to stay in that position. To protect that space, to protect Sanchez moving to the left-hand side. But very, very clever from the Southampton players. And look, it's a brilliant free kick. The timing of the free kick was so important in that performance because I think that free kick just changed the mood in the dressing room. Probably it changed the approach second half as well, and probably prevented the manager from making any substitutions at that time. If it had been 2-0, he may have think I need to change this now, but he gave the team time and they responded really well in that second half, played with more intensity, more belief, won the ball higher up. So really, really clever free kick, but the timing of the goal was so important. And how do you stop James Ward-Prowse? I mean, what a free kick taker, and obviously the goal in the second half as well. So yeah, brilliant free kick from a team performance as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, that is the question, isn't it? How do you stop James Ward-Prowse? Sensational, isn't he? And it was Prowse and Oriol again. Great teamwork from them in the second half. Obviously, a great strike, Joe, from the edge of the box to make it 2. But I mean, a lovely little back heel from Oriol.
Oh, lovely. And by the way, lovely duck on the first goal. He definitely meant that. That was totally 100% planned. But yeah, I mean, the understanding between Ward-Prowse and Oriol, I mean, this is phenomenal. You can tell that they just know each other's games inside out. I love that Ward-Prowse just holds his run here. You can just see him appearing. Timed to perfection, great back heel, perfect placement, perfect pace of the assist from Romeu. And yeah, just the away end going wild. It's great to see. And yeah, I was working at Chelsea during this game here, and most of us in the press box at Chelsea, that game wasn't great. We had our eyes glued on the screen watching this game, I can tell you. So I love the celebration from Ward-Prowse to Tino as well, the little tea that he made. And going back to Ward-Prowse, just technique is unbelievable. You can just tell he's a perfectionist in every single thing he does. And for him to reach 10 goals in all competitions this season for the first time in his career, hitting double figures from midfielder and a deep line one at that, I mean, his best ever return. It just goes to show his incredible form, consistency, and just, I think, we all know now that the rest of the country and the rest of the world are seeing just how good he is. And for me, he's the shoe-in to be in England's squad for the World Cup, if not knocking on Gareth Southgate's door to start. So great performance from the captain, and yeah, truly a skipper's display.
Yeah, most definitely. And it was great to see David Beckham getting in on the action as well, with a little Instagram post after Prowse bagged yet another free kick. Well, the team is coming your way in under a minute's time now, so just enough time to take a look through a few more comments coming in from the fans. Love this one from Caroline Holiday on Twitter. She says, just met Franny Benali outside the stadium and can confirm the rumours are true. He is one of the nicest guys around. Legend. I'm with you on that one, Caroline. Dominique on Facebook says, come on, you Saints. Saints. Vishni on YouTube says Portsmouth losing in the lunchtime kickoff. Can tell today is going to be a good day for the Saints. Yes, I love that one. We will get some more comments in just a moment's time, but it's the team news that is hot off the press that we're going to talk about now. So let's run through the Saints starting 11, shall we? The only change from last weekend is an obvious one. Roman Perro in for Tino Livramento. So let's run through this in full then. In goal, Fraser Forster. The back four, Carl Walker-Peters, Jan Bednarek, Mohamed Salisu and Roman Perro. In the middle, it's our captain, James Ward-Prowse, who has now scored a career best 9 top-flight goals this season. And alongside him, the warrior that is Oriol Romeu. Out wide, Nathan Tella and Nathan Redmond. And leading the line once again is Shane Long and Shay Adams. The Saints substitutes then are as follows: Willie Caballero, Jan Valery, Lianco, Will Smallbone, Moyele Anusi, Musa Gineppo, Stuart Armstrong, Adam Armstrong and Armando Broja. So Dean, let's come to you first to get your thoughts on this starting 11 to take on Crystal Palace today.
Well, like we spoke for previously, Kenzie, I like the balance of the team. I really do. And I'm pleased that the manager has gone with the same team. Obviously, Perro coming into the team because of Livramento. But again, that balance is good. Carl Walker-Peters goes on that right-hand side with both, with the attacking threat. And the two central midfield players, I think, are really important. I think it was really evident against Brighton that, James Ward-Prowse and Oriol second half were fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Not only with the goals and the assists and the influence, but the way they controlled the game and dictated the game. And I think if they can do that today again, I think that would be really, really important. And like Joe mentioned, the two wide players, they have that pace, they have that ability to run with the ball, that ability in one-on-one situations to take a player on and get a crossing or combine with the forward players. And the two players up front, I think he's gone with Shane Long again because he sets the press off really, really well. He puts the defenders under pressure. And Crystal Palace are a possession-based team now. They like to play out from the back. So with Shay Adams and Shane Long up top, physically presence as well to be able to hold the ball up and bring their wide players in. But I think their work rate and their effort to set that press, to set that tone and set that intensity could be really important today.
Definitely. I mean, Joe, you said when we asked you to speculate on the starting 11 that you assumed we'd stick with that 4-2-2-2. Largely unchanged, as we've said, obviously the obvious with Tino being sidelined. But are you pleased with the decision from Ralph today?
I am, Kenzie. I think, Shane Long definitely deserves a good run in the team. He hasn't had that for a very long time. And Dean mentioned it there. He just it's one of those very unselfish players that all the runs he makes opens up space for others to exploit. So you expect to see Nathan Redmond and Tella just in behind him, feeding off little knockdowns from him. And obviously Shay Adams as well. I think it works really well, that partnership up top together. They've played together or known each other for quite a long time. And then some really good options in reserve off the bench with the Armstrongs and obviously Broja and now Anusi as well. So a lot of different ways that Ralph can approach this game, perhaps in the second half or, even earlier than that, half time if it needs to change. So very solid, very stable team. And I don't really have a lot to add. So it's good to see that the team's playing well. And I think we'll feed off that second half performance at Brighton and go into this game today with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, Nathan Tella keeps his place in the starting lineup. Dean, he returned to the starting lineup for the first time since January against Brighton. He had a role in both of the goals on the day. How did you rate his overall performance?
Well, I think he played his way into the game, Steve, which is understandable because, like you mentioned, he hasn't started many games of late. But he has an effect, Nathan Tella. I like Nathan Tella. I think he's getting better and better all the time. He has that direct approach. Where he will take a defender on. He likes those one-on-one situations where he backs himself because he has that raw pace. We see from the second goal, he's one-on-one. I think it's Veltman, tries to go on the outside. And I think the development in him is shown a little bit more composure, where there he may have tried to take him on again and pushed him onto his left-hand side and maybe crossed into the box when there's no one in there. But he's turned out, stayed nice and calm, laid the ball back, and Southampton end up scoring. And look, we love to see the smile on his face. He plays the game with that enthusiasm. But as well, if you look at him physically, he looks like he put on a little bit more muscle, but he's still got that pace. So he's got that strength now. We see against Crystal Palace here where he's fighting for the ball, wins the ball, and then he breaks. He breaks that line and he makes that ground up for Southampton. Again, against Swansea, that composure with that assist, a lovely weighted pass for Nathan Redmond. So I think he'll get better and better. And he needs a run in the team now. I think for him to stay injury-free and have a run in the team, it will breed his confidence, grow that belief in his own ability. Yes, he needs to probably add some goals to his game, add a few more assists, but that will come with experience and that will come with consistently playing in first-team games. So he did okay against Brighton, but look, he had an effect in both goals, and that's all you can ask from your creative players. If they can get assists, if they can get goals, or they can have an impact on the game, that's what you want from them. And you need it in the modern day football. You need someone in your team who's got that raw pace, who's willing to use it, and he has that.
Yeah, well, let's switch focus to today's opponents, Crystal Palace. It was a 2-2 draw when we played them at Selhurst Park earlier in the season. Joe, can you talk us through that one?
Yeah, it was a great game, wasn't it? Open end-to-end. I mean, Palace came flying at the traps, as they always seem to under Vieira. A great goal to open up from Zaha early on, and then had some big chances as well. So Saints did well to hang in there after a rough start at Selhurst Park. And yeah, it was just very much an entertaining game, which hopefully we'll see again today. We're seeing some of the chances here that Palace couldn't finish off. And then some Ward-Prowse magic. Absolutely shocking, right? Turned the tide of the game. Beat Jack Butland there, all ends up. No chance whatsoever that. A classic Ward-Prowse up and over the wall free kick. And then, yeah, that really set the tone for Saints for a big comeback. And this goal for me from Amanda Brozier is why I really enjoy him. And direct, great finish, hit it low, skipped off the surface, no fear in his game. And I want to see him getting back to this kind of performance, really, for those few months of the season. He was pretty unstoppable up top. So great goal there for Saints to go ahead. And then Saints were on top at 2-1. I mean, but Palace obviously got the equaliser. Willy Caballero was really good in this game, as we see a few key saves. He just joined on that emergency deal. And Saints in the end had him to thank to get a point. But it was a great game, open, entertaining. And as I said, hopefully it's more of the same today. But Crystal Palace are a very good team and very well matched with Southampton, I think. So Vieira and Hasenhüttl, it should be another good battle. A lot of respect there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to it. Well, Dean, Zaha scored that night and has scored 5 goals in their last 8 Premier League matches. He is on the bench today, but if he does come on, how do you think Saints will need to keep him quiet today?
Well, he's a special talent, Kenzie. And if he's in the mood, it's very, very difficult to stop him because he has that trickery, he has the pace, he's strong on the ball. But I think, like an example from the goal Southampton conceded earlier, show him on his weaker side. You've got to show him on his left-hand side. He can strike the ball well with his left-hand side, but it's his weaker side. Show him down the line, away from goal. That's what you've been encouraging the players. So when you're in these one-on-one situations, show him away from goal. Can you double up? Can you help out the fullback? Can the midfield player help out? Can the centre-half maybe come over and cover a little bit of ground if the fullback gets beaten? But also the mentality of Zaha is probably his weakness. He can be a little bit moody. He can be a little bit petulant. So, yeah, a little verbal conversation now and again to just distract him and put him off a little bit because he's got that, he can sulk at times. If I was playing against him, I'd be speaking to the referee all the time and just to remind the referee that he likes to dive a little bit and over-exaggerate at times just to try and get the referee on your side so maybe he doesn't give as many free kicks and then that will affect Zaha as well, as we've seen in the past. But look, he's a fantastic footballer, and if he's in the mood, he's very, very difficult to stop. But also try and push him the other way. If he comes on to the pitch, Cole Walker-Peters, you know, with his attacking ability, Zaha's going to have to do a lot of defensive work as well. So there's ways, but it's very, very difficult because he is very, very special if he wants to be.
Well, hopefully he doesn't come on today then. Now, you may not know, but it has been a fantastic season for our under-18 team, who could win the under-18 Premier League South Group this Wednesday. Now, one player who stepped up to the B team and scored a fantastic hat-trick at St James's Park was Tyler Dibbling. Now, Joe, I'm sure you've seen these clips online, but what did you make of the hat-trick, and how good is it to see the under-18s doing so well?
Oh, Steve, I shared it. This is an amazing video. I mean, it looked like a replay, right? All three goals are so similar, especially the first two. Just incredible talent. I mean, very strong Emil Smith Rowe, Jack Grealish vibes from him, of his running style, the low socks and shin pads. But as you said, it's great to see the under-18s doing so well. The B team's improving as well. And it seems like Ralph's playbook that he worked so hard on is obviously taken time, I think, to steep through the club and to get the coaching staffs all on board and the players to understand it. It was never going to be a quick fix or an overnight thing when you have a project of that scale for all of the academy teams, the B team, and the first team to follow. But it looks like now it's really bearing some fruit. And yeah, huge shout out to the academy staff, the individual coaches. I know they have coaches that work individually with players as well to develop their own games as well as on a team level. So they're doing some really innovative things at the academy, as they always seem to do. And yeah, I think Matt Howell's return as the academy director really seems to be attracting top young talent. So as a Saints fan, I mean, we all know the club has always had a great identity and history in producing top young players in the academy. It's the heartbeat of the club. And hopefully a few of these players we're seeing staff the under-18s this season, in 2 or 3 years' time, or maybe even sooner than that, they can be in the first team, because we know that Ralph Hasenhüttl gives them opportunities. And that is why, you know, the likes of Tino, Brozier, even Walker Peters a few years ago, why they came to Southampton, because he puts faith in young players. And hopefully those are academy graduates in the very near future.
Yes, indeed. The future is very bright, that's for sure. Well, back to today then, Dean. We know that Crystal Palace have experienced similar fortunes to us of late, and just 2 points behind us in the league. How tight are you expecting this one to be today?
I think it'll be a really competitive game. I think it's interesting. Obviously, I think there's been a distraction for Crystal Palace with that FA Cup semi-final. Their form has dipped a little bit of late, but we saw that last year with Southampton, and that's understandable. They haven't scored in 3 games, I think, but they do have a lot of good attacking players. You know, Conor Gallagher, Eze, Zaha's on the bench. Mateta is a player that's physically strong and is actually a decent player, pretty effective for Crystal Palace. And you know, they like to have possession of the ball now. They've changed styles under Patrick Vieira from the Roy Hodgson era. So I think there's opportunities for Southampton to be really aggressive today and press Crystal Palace and try and win that ball up higher up the pitch like they did against Brighton, to create themselves opportunities, which allows the Southampton to compact the pitch and allow the defence to play a more of a higher line. And I think Southampton are better. Then they win the ball back, they play with that intensity, 1 and 2 touch, get it wide, combination between the players. So that high energy that we love from Southampton, I think is needed today, definitely. But it will be a competitive game, because Crystal Palace have had some really, really good results this season against some good teams and scored lots of goals at times. So they're a little bit indifferent, which you could probably say of Southampton. So this will be a tight game today, and it could go either way. But yeah, two good teams that play a good style of football.
14th in the table, which is where they finished for the last 2 seasons. What do you make of the job that Patrick Vieira has done in his first season in the Premier League, Joe?
Brilliant job, absolute sensation. I mean, many people were tipping Palace for relegation, but they're fun to watch. Obviously safe from the drop right now, heading late into the season. And in my role of NBC, I've actually had the pleasure of chatting with Vieira quite a lot over the years, because he was obviously manager in MLS at New York City FC, and just a lovely bloke, just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And for someone who grew up in England, he was one of my heroes that I used to love watching play in midfield, and just nobody has a bad word to say about him. So I think he has the respect of the team. He's very driven, just like he was as a player, very fair and very honest. I think you know exactly where you stand with Patrick Vieira in that Crystal Palace team. And, you know, a lot of good young players they brought in. It was very risky to bring him in and then change the squad around the way they did, but they had a clear plan and identity. And you can see it now. They're more balanced. Previously, they obviously, under Roy Hodgson, sat back, looked to counter, but they've still kept that core, solid defensive unit. When you look at goals conceded, they've got the 7th best defense in the Premier League. So they're still very solid. But now they possess the ball. They're a much better footballing team. They knock it around. Vieira always likes that with New York City, even when he's with the Man City under 23 teams. And at Nice, he loved his teams to get the ball down, be creative. Dean mentioned it there. Conor Gallagher has been an absolute sensation. Maybe they can keep hold of him. I'm not sure. I think he'll be playing for Chelsea next season when his loan is done. But I think the one area that they have struggled in is when they've won games, they've won big. There's a 3 or 4-0 sometimes, but sometimes the goals just dry up. I think the Leeds game earlier this week was a perfect example, then dominating it, but then just not finding that killer moment in the final third. So they've had 14 draws, the most in the Premier League. That just shows you it's tough to play against Palace, but they just need to improve their finishing. So one thing I would look at, they've only collected 15 points in 2022 so far. So only Watford, Norwich and Everton have less than them. So they're not in great form, but Dean mentioned it. I think the FA Cup semi-final has been front and centre for them. And now that that's over, I think we might see Palace picking up quite a few wins late in the season, but hopefully not starting today.
Yes, indeed, echo those thoughts, absolutely. Well, whilst we leave you to fester on some thoughts about a score prediction, I'm going to look at the comments coming into us on social media. We've got one here from Rosemary. Hello to you, lovely to hear from you as always. She says, confident of a Saints win today, listening to you all from my sunny and hot garden. Cheers. That sounds glorious. Stephen Townsend says, Shane Long will run the defence all over the place today, sets up for subs to make an impact in the second half once they're tired. Another fan of Shane is Tara on Facebook. She says happy to see Shane starting again, one of the hardest working players in the team, and she's going for a 3-1 Saints win. And we've got a comment here from St Mary's Musings on Twitter. Good afternoon, and they say nice to see Tella and Redmond in the starting lineup.
It certainly is great to get those comments in. Well, as Kenzie alluded to, it's time for those score predictions. Dean, I hope you've had enough time to think. What are your final thoughts and what's your score prediction today?
Well, like I said, Steve, I think this will be a really good game, a competitive game. Two good teams playing the right manner. So both teams will want possession of the ball. But I think Southampton have the opportunity, if they play with that high energy, to press Crystal Palace and make it a reasonably uncomfortable afternoon for them. So look, I think it's going to be tight. I don't think there'll be a huge amount of chances. So I'm going to go for a solid 1-0 Southampton win. 1-0
from Dean. And Joe, you expect Crystal Palace to start playing better again, but not today.
Not today. It will be a good game though, Steve. I think Saints just have the edge. If you look at the record as well, maybe I'm reading too much, but Palace have a terrible record playing away at Southampton. So I'm going to tap into that a little bit as well. 2-1 Southampton. I think we'll just have a bit more cutting edge and quality in attack, and maybe another Ward-Prowse special. But yeah, 2-1 the Saints and a big win for Saints.
Yes, I love that. And when you say it with such conviction, I really believe it. Guys, lovely to have you on the show. As always, we look forward to welcoming you back after the game. So, less than 45 minutes to go here. The fans trickling in through the turnstiles. And what a glorious day it is here at St Mary's Stadium. Kick-off is, of course, at 3 o'clock. And as I mentioned, we will be back with you after the match for the final whistle. So make sure you join us then as we talk through all of the major talking points from the game. Bye for now.
See you soon.